My name is Peter, and the story I'm about to share is not an easy one. It concerns me and my daughter Emma. In seemingly innocuous moments, things gradually changed and we found ourselves at a crossroads neither of us wanted. What brought us here, and is there a way back? I invite you to listen to me. It was midday and the sun was casting a warm glow on our quiet neighborhood. I sat in the kitchen cooking dinner while the radio hummed softly in the background. Emma had just gotten home from a weekend away at college. The house had a cozy and peaceful atmosphere. Emma had grown up so fast, it seemed like just yesterday she was a little girl following me around, asking endless questions about life. Now she was 21 years old, and she was no longer the little girl I remembered. The dynamic between us had changed and I was still getting used to it. Dinner was ready and I called her from the living room. As we sat down at the table, I noticed that she was looking at me differently, somehow tense, which made me wonder. At first I thought I was imagining things. We talked about her classes, friends, and how homesick she was, but something in her gaze kept me on my toes. After dinner, we decided to watch a movie together, something we used to do before she left for college. The living room was cozier than usual. As the movie went on, I found myself looking at her more often than I should. She was no longer a child, but a young woman. "Peter, what's wrong?" "Nothing, honey. I'm just tired," I said, trying to brush her off. But I knew something had changed, something we couldn't ignore. The line between father and daughter had blurred, and though neither of us crossed it, there were unspoken thoughts in the air. I woke up the next morning restless, going over the events of the previous night in my mind. I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head. I was her father, no more, no less. I loved her deeply, but not in a way that could be misunderstood. "Good morning, Emma." "Good morning, Daddy," she smiled. "I was thinking about going for a walk later. Would you like to join me?" I hesitated, but told myself it was just a walk between father and daughter. There was nothing wrong with that. "Sure, sounds good." After lunch, we went to a park not far from our house. The air was fresh, the sky was bright, and for a moment everything felt normal. We walked side by side, talking about old memories, her plans for the future, and everyday gossip. Perhaps I was overreacting to what had happened the day before. But as we walked, there were moments of silence that seemed heavier than they should have been, filled with thoughts I didn't want to acknowledge. At one point, Emma stopped and turned to me. "You've always been there for me, Daddy. I don't know what I would do without you." Her words stopped me. The way she said it touched some deep part of me. I tried to smile. "Don't worry, Daddy's not going anywhere." But she stepped closer, her eyes meeting mine. "No, I mean, you're more than a father to me. You're everything to me." I froze. Her words hung in the air, filled with a meaning I wasn't ready for. I searched her face for any indication that this was just an innocent moment, but there was something in her eyes that I couldn't ignore. "Emma, you know Daddy loves you, but not the way a father should." "I know, but I can't stop thinking about it." Panic rose in my chest. "Emma, we can't. This isn't right. I'm your father." She looked at me, a mixture of confusion and pain on her face. "I'm not confused, Dad. I know how I feel." "No, you're my daughter and we can't." Emma took another step toward me, and I realized I had to do something to stop this before it went too far. "We have to go home. This isn't right, Emma." Emma paused, her head bowed slightly. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean to embarrass you." I took a deep breath. "It's okay, sweetheart. We just need to keep our distance." We drove home in silence, the air between us heavier than ever. I knew things would never be the same again. After we got home, neither of us said another word. Emma retired to her room and I stood in the living room, looking around the empty house. Everything was the same, but the heaviness in my heart made me feel strange. That night I couldn't sleep. Memories of my childhood came flooding back, her running around, laughing, and me always protecting her. Things were different now. Emma had become an adult, but I was still her father, and my love for her had to end there. The next morning, Emma walked out of her room without saying a word. The air between us was so stuffy it was hard to breathe. "I'll be going back to school soon. Maybe that's for the best. We need some space," she said with sadness in her eyes. Emma gathered her things and got ready to leave. I stood in the doorway and watched her walk to the car. "Have a safe trip, Emma," I said quietly. She got into the car and drove off. The house became empty and quiet. I knew the distance would give us time to calm down and sort out our feelings, but I couldn't deny that things had gone too far. In the weeks that followed, I tried to get back to normal, but without Emma, the house was too quiet. Memories of that moment kept running through my head. I wanted to believe that distance would help ease the pain, but deep down I knew that something had broken between us. One weekend, I got a text from Emma. She wrote that she was trying to deal with her emotions, that she realized things weren't right, and that she needed time to think. I felt a mixture of sadness and relief. Maybe with enough time and distance we'd find a way to fix our relationship. I sighed, closed my phone, and looked out the window. The city in the distance was calm, but not my heart. Perhaps only time would answer the questions that neither Emma nor I could ask right now. My story is a lesson about the boundaries of family relationships that we must never cross. As parents, we have a duty to care for our children and love them wholeheartedly. But we must also realize that love must be accompanied by respect and distance. There will be times when relationships will change, but it is important to set clear boundaries. Don't let emotions blur the lines between father and child, mother and child, or other relationships. Small moments can turn into big cracks if left unchecked, and once the cracks appear, they can be very difficult to mend. Being wise, knowing what is right and wrong, and knowing how to stop before things go too far, honoring boundaries, is the only way to protect the important relationships in life. Thank you for watching my story. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.